Oh, here we are at Tesco, the old supermarket we have here. It's not very good, to be fair. So we're here to get some supplies. I've got a rest day tomorrow. No cookies today, which is shit, really. So I need some salmon, some fish, some white fish, some eggs, whole eggs. I'll pick up some chicken and beef as well. 6 billion degrees today outside. 6 billion Kelvin. It's hotter than Venus outside. So I'm gonna get one of these. Meat. I always just get the ready to eat salmon, the smoked salmon, just because it tastes brilliant. And because the small fillets are not enough, and the large ones too much, I end up wasting it. And this is exactly the right amount. And I've had it the whole way through the prep, so I'm just gonna keep it going. Last prep I was really into steak, and this prep I've just been loving mincemeat. Don't know why. I only really need one, but it's 3 for a tenner, so I can't resist a bargain. It's all about the smoked batter. See, I don't like fish, so this is why the salmon has to be smoked and this has to be smoked, because fish, as a fact, is fucking gross. There's no blue eggs today. Fuck me, look how brown they are. They're like poo eggs, these ones. I don't know whether they came out of the bum or the vagina. That is brown. Have you ever seen an egg that brown? Maybe it's a chocolate egg. These are really fucking brown. I mean, look at that. That is a tanned egg, isn't it? Because, let's just compare it to your normal organic egg. I'm all about the ethnic, you know? I don't see race or colour, so I'm going for the brown ones. I don't know whether this is going to be phenomenal or awful, because I love Marmite and I love peanut butter, so I just don't know if that's going to be good or not. This Marmite is extra old. This Marmite is Australian, mate. Vegemite. To be fair, it is quite a lot different than Marmite. I don't know how, but it is. Fuck off. What's this? Chocolate and salted caramel velvety spread. What I love about this is afterwards, when you've cleaned it out, you get a little glass. Keep that. I'm sure Nutella came up with that idea first. Busy today. Now that I've shaped it, it needs to grow. This is so hot, I could probably fry those brown eggs on this.
My name's Chow. You probably know me as Luke, Sandoe's training partner. We pretty much trained together now for the best part of 4 years together. We were both amateurs when we met, and yeah, we've come a long way, or he's come a long way, should I say. You know, like last year was a pretty tough year for him. I think he placed a lot of expectation on himself, and I don't think he felt like he justified his potential last year at all. You know, we had that little blip in California, and there's a lot to deal with social media wise, and kind of people doubting him, and he had to kind of get that trust and faith back with Chris, which I think he lost it a little bit at that time. It was nobody's fault. I think it was just a set of circumstances, and like he felt like he could have done a lot better, and obviously he's shown that this year. So I think that's been a big challenge, and that one he's overcome, and that you've kind of been able to see his progress this year. It's his confidence now. He's started to fulfill what he knew he could. So there's been a big shift in his mentality this year. Stepping on stage at the Arnold this year in March, that whole week the vibe was just very different, knowing that he was looking at pictures of himself and was kind of shocked, but shocked that he was actually finally getting it right. and it was nice to see that kind of confidence come. And I think it's just growing now. The last month or so has been pretty crazy with people that we look up to and respect in the industry, sending in messages and kind of saying pretty brash, bold statements about the potential he has, which I think he believes he can do himself, or I know he does. But then having kind of his peers and people he looks up to confirm that, it's been fun, and yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind. But what are we now? We're at 7.5 weeks from the Olympia, 2 weeks out from Tampa, which he now has to do for the just security of the points. And yeah, it's this momentum that he's gaining. It's crazy that his body's responding. I think it's just coming from confidence and the fact that he knows he has that trust back in one, himself, and two, Chris. They're just working very, very well. And you know, that's not to say that things have been easy. I mean, this year in particular, there's been a lot of stress that he's had to deal with, and I'm very surprised that he's been able to perform on stage and in the gym day in, day out with all the things that he's dealing with on a personal level. It's things that could have thrown a lot of people off, and a lot of people would have shut things down, taken a year out, tried to figure everything out, but he's kind of just focused in, and he's sacrificed a lot of things that people don't see, that a lot of people won't ever see, and the kind of those closest to him know what he's been going through. You know, I'm sure everyone has their trials and tribulations, but it's been tough. There's no such thing as a perfect prep, but this year's been a challenge, and there's been some obstacles that have come up, even last minute, right before Ohio, which I still, it's more impressive to me because I know the whole situation. Forget coming third on that stage like he did, if it had been perfect, was impressive enough. But knowing the things that leading up to that, and then since then as well, it's incredibly impressive, the amount of focus and dedication and things he's sacrificing and dealing with. Even now, it's, you know, it's very impressive to see. It's just a different mindset that, like I said, a lot of people would have justifiably kind of thrown the towel in this year, shut it down and try to sort things out. But he's persevered and yeah, looking better than ever, which I don't know how he does it. One of the biggest things in terms of my role, especially when we're at a show, is just to kind of facilitate the whole thing. The input I have isn't great. It's more just to allow him to do what he needs to do. He's very focused anyway, takes it kind of in his stride. I know he likes his routine. Routine is big for him. He doesn't like being away from home too much. And I think that's just the life of a bodybuilder, especially at that level. I mean, even at the amateur level, you have that day in, day out, every day's the same, repetitiveness. But at this level, it's even more so. And I think he has to have that continuity moving forward, especially, like I say, dealing with certain things. That gives him that safety net and allows him to keep pushing and focusing on what he's doing. I mean, it's interesting, even as an amateur, the confidence he had, knowing where he could be, he still knew he could be one of the best in the world, which when we first met, he had no real right to think that, I guess you could say. But in the last year, that confidence is kind of, it's being justified now. And it's funny, I sent him a meme the other day. it's one from The Matrix where it says he's beginning to believe when Neo starts to become the one. So I sent it as a joke after we did the Milos posing thing, and Milos had some really pretty, say, bold things to say about Luke's potential, and yeah, it's all falling into place a little bit, but there's a lot of people that have doubted him and questioned him on condition and things like this, and it's one of those funny things that we've always known how much potential he has, and we've always known that it's just a case of timing and getting it right. But there's been a lot of people, especially in his kind of last year as an amateur, first year as a pro, doubting him and just kind of writing him off. So it's really nice to see that his confidence in himself is starting to kind of pay off now, and there's other people who are seeing it and believing it and talking about it now. So yeah.
Everyone keeps going on about saying, you know, the 90s or the early 2000s, that's when physiques looked their best. And I completely agree. And if you look at the way they used to train back then, it's very unlike how a lot of the pros do that today. And I think it does show in the physiques. I'm not saying the physiques today aren't phenomenal, but they are lacking something. Not everyone, but there's a certain something that only the training can give you that a lot of these guys are missing. And I kind of want to fill that gap. And it's like, you hear, I mean, I think today's day and age of forums and Facebook groups, social media, everyone just thinks, you know, it's all drugs. And it might be for a lot of people, but for me, I'm like, fuck that. If it's all drugs, it will kill me. So, you know, and that's absolutely not something I'm prepared to do. So for me and yourself, it's about
Well, that's the
training.
thing. I've been privy to seeing these guys at the top level, and the more that I'm seeing the top pros, the more I'm learning it's not the drugs.
No.
Whereas my attitude to it beforehand, before I had that insight, was that it was that, and more would get you to that next level. And it's really not the case. Actually, it's less.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people won't believe. They still will do what they want to do.
That's genetics, and I always kind of take it back to, you know, if you take two people, one of them has an incredibly high IQ, one of them's either average or slightly below. You go give them both a textbook and tell them to do an exam, which one's going to do better? You know, one of them will probably just read the book once and just absolutely slam it, and the guy who's a bit less intelligent is probably going to really struggle, and that's just genetics.
That's what you
That's
need.
it, he's sick, shit, so he's the dumb one. I'm with stupid, that's what you should say. But and it's that way. But the only thing we all have in our control is training. And all the guys out there that are saying, oh, it's all drugs, because I was on a forum the other day, I just had a little look. I think, it was a Facebook group, I got tagged in something, and it was like, all of the pros use this much, they have to be using this, there's no way they can't be using this. And I was just laughing, I was like, well, if that's what we take, then I'm fucked, because I'm not doing that. But then I look at all these guys who are saying these things, and I'm saying, yeah, but you're not doing what we're doing in the gym. Not even close, none of you are.
I do think a lot of people miss the point with the way we train though, where we go incredibly heavy, but we're executing. And I think a lot of people need to learn how to execute the movement before they chase the weight.
Yeah.
If you watch Luke train, like Milo said it the other day, the mind-muscle connection, that's where he'll separate himself from even me. I'll do a row, and I watch him do a row, and the amount of lat he'll get from a bent over row, I just can't emulate that.
Yeah.
No matter how hard I try. You have to be moving the weight correctly before you start ramping it up.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that did actually kind of occur to me the other day is that gyms these days are so readily available and they're so well kitted out. They have all the best machines. So people that join the gym who don't really know any better, they will just stick to all these fancy machines because they have access to them all. Whereas we don't really. We still do all the same hard stuff, like the dumbbells.
Machines
the
come into play at the end
Yeah.
of our sessions.
So when you go back again to the early 90s or late 90s, early 2000s, when the gyms weren't quite as equipped as they are today, the only thing they all had was a lot of iron to mess around with, a lot of heavy dumbbells, a lot of heavy barbells, and they didn't have a lot else. So they had to make do with that, and the physiques look different. So I look back at those era, of those eras, and I just think, well, if it worked then, it's still going to work now. You know, and the only difference from myself over the last few years is now, obviously, I work with Chris Osito, so I let him tell me what to eat or what to do. The only thing I have in my control is the training. And Ben and I like to have fun in the gym, and the most fun thing you can do in the gym is pushing your limits and doing things that you probably shouldn't be able to do. But every time we think we can't do something and we do it, our physiques get better every time. And that's just the way it is. And a lot of people just these days are not prepared to do that, whether there's like not the correct information out there, or whether they or it's just ignorance. But no, it's not everyone's fault. They just don't know better. But you know, if you look back in the, you know, like I said, like 10, 15 years ago, when the physiques were at their best, according to most people, the training back then, if you hear the old pros talk about their eras, they would say that most of the conversations about them all revolved around training. They would talk about training. That was the main thing. These days, it's like, bro, what you taking? How much of this you taking? What's this? Like, it's the wrong thing to be asking.
But I also think that's an important point where you said you're now just allow Chris to do your diet.
Yeah.
The training is really not overthought.
No.
And I think there's this the millennial generation, if you like, are incredibly overthinking everything inside and outside the gym.
Yeah.
They're trying to cut corners and outsmart the body, and there's no two ways about it. You have to still put the work in, do the basics well. You do those three things, and there's people worrying about the minutiae, and they really shouldn't.
The clues are in success in everything. You know, it's like Tiger Woods didn't get really good at golf by doing formulas and equations about the golf swings and like figure out the trigonometry of a golf swing. He just did a lot of practicing, and he had the talent, and he just kept practicing, and he probably out-practiced everyone. You know, all the hard things in training, you know, like the heavy squats, the heavy deadlifts, the heavy incline barbell presses, the heavy everything. You know, like no one wants to do a 20-25 rep set to failure on squats because it sucks. But if you do that, I guarantee your legs will be better. But just no one wants to do it because they think, well, Captain America all came out of a bottle, so we'll just do that.
And they change your angles.
Yeah, and they focus on angles and tempos, and which is great. But if you're not doing all the things that really matter, you know, it's like, I think there's an old Kai Green video when he was talking about people overthinking, and this was quite a few years ago. It's even worse these days, and somebody kept asking about how much sodium he has a day. And he's like, why does it matter? You don't even eat 5-6 meals a day. Focus on all that stuff, you know. Eat your meat and rice every 2 hours, train as hard as you can and recover, and keep doing that for years. Yeah, obviously there may or may not be drugs involved as well. But if you're doing that for years and years and years on end, that's going to get you 90% of your results. All the other little bits and pieces, you know, just the icing on the cake. That not many people, and everyone's focused too much on the icing. Probably because the icing is the best bit of the cake. Yeah. It all makes sense. Everyone's just after the sweet, delicate topping of the cake, and not the actual. I actually prefer the middle bit. I prefer the spot.
I'm an icing man.
I fucking hate icing. It's the worst bit of a birthday cake, the icing. I'd take that bit off. You can have the icing. I'll eat the cake. But yeah. So all of you watching this, if you think you're training hard, you're probably not. And that goes for Ben and I. We could probably train harder, and we probably should be training harder, but we're doing what we feel is we can do it. But everyone can do better. Everyone.
What's that? Even Milos came in and just gave us a few pointers, right?
Yeah. In fact, what Milos actually said to me, he kind of caught me off guard because I never really thought about it. He was like, "Stop looking at your phone in between sets." Now, I don't think that's a problem. If I'm not doing a set and I'm just stood there doing nothing, me looking at my phone doesn't matter. But he has got a good point. It's the way the focus of the session goes. So now what I do is, we did it yesterday, is the gym owner, John, he kindly said to me, you can put what you want on music as long as it's not too heavy. So I just plug my phone in, I get to listen to the music, so I get to set the atmosphere up in the gym that I like. And there's no phone, there's no distractions, and we had a really good leg session yesterday. And it was actually a lot faster paced. And it may or may not be because of the phone thing.
I'm sore as shit.
I'm sore as shit too. But, you know, just by having that extra bit of focus and, you know, all these little things you don't think about.
This is what, again, Milos was saying, the potential you have. Imagine if you don't fulfill that potential, and you'll wonder, maybe I could have done more.
He's absolutely right.
Because he said himself, he looks back at his career and says, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. And I think that'll be the biggest regret. If you look back and go, I did everything I could and didn't make it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
If you look back and go, I didn't make it and I didn't really try, then that's gonna be hard to live with.
Well, I mean, going back to California last year, I'm lucky to still be here. So after that was all said and done and everything kind of, I was lucky enough to walk away from that completely fine. I just thought, well, I can't, if I'm going to do this, I need to make sure that I don't look back and think I wasted this opportunity. So ever since California to today, I've just been, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I could die tomorrow. You know, as morbid as that sounds, something bad could happen. You never know. But whilst I've got this amazing opportunity in front of me, I'm not going to waste a second of it.